Now it's time to check up on the markets in Korea and around the world. Let's start with U.S. markets, and for that I'm joined by Dr. Hwang Seiwoon from the Korea Capital Market Institute. Dr. Hwang, thanks for making time this afternoon.
Thank you.
So stocks on Wall Street were up on Tuesday. Treasury yields stabilized, which would have been a relief to investors. What's the story there?
U.S. stocks ended higher on Tuesday, but sentiment on Wall Street was dampened by lingering fears that the economy is slowing down. The Dow closed up 0.5% and the S&P 500 finished 0.7% higher after climbing 1.1% at its session high. The Nasdaq also gained 0.7%. Energy shares led gains in the S&P 500 index as oil surged after Russia signaled commitment to output cuts. The yield on benchmark U.S. bonds increased after a two-day plunge, though the spread between the 3-month and 10-year rates remained in negative territory. The U.S. dollar erased its monthly drop, and the Japanese yen led losses in safe currencies. Risky assets rebounded on speculation that the recent sell-off in global markets had been overdone.
Right. Well, now, Korean stocks rose into positive territory during trading today, but they closed a little lower. Seems like Wall Street and U.S. bonds would have been part of that, but what happened?
It is more likely to be so. Kospi market traded 0.15% lower on Wednesday, in line with Japanese stock market, which dropped 0.23%, as investor concern over an economic downturn showed signs of easing. Foreigners net sold 154 billion won, while institutional investors and individuals took the net buy position of 19 billion won and 119 billion won respectively. Kosdaq index declined 1.13% or 8 points. As you said earlier, lots of attention were paid to the annual shareholders meeting of Korean Airlines. Korea Airlines rose 2.47% as its shareholders vote against the reappointment of the current CEO Jo Yang-ho as directors of the board. Korean won was changing hands at 1134.501 against the US dollar, up 0.51 from the previous session's close.
Okay, and meanwhile, Japanese stocks were down today, but other Asian markets were up. It seems like investors are getting some mixed signals here.
That's right. Asian stocks were mixed Wednesday, with markets falling into a choppy pattern as investors weighing disappointing economic signs against a decisive turn towards accommodation by major central banks. Japan's TOPIX index was held down by more than 2/3 of the companies trading without the right to current dividends. Declines for equities in Seoul and Sydney were more modest, while shares in Hong Kong and China climbed. Treasury yields dipped while the yen trimmed overnight losses. The New Zealand dollar slid more than 1% after the central bank said next move for its benchmark interest rate is more likely to be a cut.
All right, Dr. Hwang, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thanks so much for your insights this afternoon.
Thank you for having me today.